we have what seems to be a strange anomaly in our Sidur. In our, we always follow the lunar calendar. Right? All of our holidays are based on the lunar calendar, the Jewish month, as we call it, which is the lunar calendar months. Suddenly, when it comes to beginning to ask for the rain in our Amidah prayer, outside of Israel soon see, there it's on the evening prayer of December 4th. If it's the year before a leap year, then it's December 5th, and it just seems so strange. What is
before leap year?
Let's see what it says. Yeah, or 5th. Yeah, we'll come to it.
And so the Jewish leap year
yeah.
English leap year.
The secular leap year. Yeah, it's the year before the secular leap year. So then, all of a sudden, it's December 5th. What is going on? Why are we linking it to the solar calendar all of a sudden? So, first of all, it's a mistake to say that we only follow the lunar calendar. Okay? The first source that we have is from Rambam, Maimonides, the laws of Kiddush HaChodesh. We have it both in Hebrew and in English. Chodshei Hashana, the months of the year, Heim Chodshei HaLevana. Those are the months of the moon, the lunar months. Shenemar, as the verse says, Olat Chodesh Bichodsho. It says the sacrifice of each month will be brought in its Chodesh, in its month. Now the lunar month is called the Chodesh, the same root of Chodesh, the same letters of the word Chodesh, month, also spell Chadash, which means new, because it is the lunar cycle, the moon, which renews, which is hidden from sight, and then it reappears to our sight. And it says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chadashim. This month will be for you as the start, the head of all months, of course referring to the month of Nisan. Kach amru chachamim, our sages tell us, Herlo Kodesh Baruch Hu Moshe v'mar hanavua demut levana. Hashem showed Moshe in a prophetic vision the exact form of the moon as its beginning. V'amar lo, and he said to him, Kazeh re'ei v'kadesh. Like this, when you see the moon has re-emerged in this way, then Kadesh, sanctify it. So we know that all of our holidays, our calendar follows the lunar months. V'hashanim, but the years, she'anu mechashevin, that we calculate, heim shenei hachama, they are the years of the sun, the solar year. Shenamar, as it says, Shamor, make sure that you guard, that you maintain this month of the spring. Meaning, Nisan, the holiday, the month where we celebrate the holiday of Pesach, of Passover, that must be in the spring. Now, how is that going to work? Because the lunar year, we'll see from the next Rambam, right, is significantly shorter than the solar year. The Rambam continues, well, we have that pasuk there as source number 2, Shamor Chodesh Aviv, keep the month of spring, Va'asita Pesach LaHashem Elokecha, and have this, and make Passover for Hashem your God, Ki b'chodesh Aviv hotziach Hashem Elokecha miMitzrayim Laila, because it was in this month of spring that Hashem took you out from Mitzrayim at night. So therefore, Pesach, the month of Nisan, must be in the spring. How do we maintain that? The Rambam in Halacha Bet, the second Halacha, both again Hebrew and English, of the laws of the sanctification of the moon, chapter 1, the Kame Yetera Shnat HaChamal Shnat HaLevana, how much is the solar year greater than the lunar year? Karov me'achad asar yom, about 11 days, right? We know that the solar year is 365 and a quarter, And the lunar year is 354, approximately. It's not exact, we'll soon see, and that's where we're going to run into some difficulties. Lefikach, therefore, kashit kabetz min hatosefet hazot, when this added days of the lunar month add up to about kamo shloshim yom, to about 30 days, o pachot ma'at o yoter ma'at, either a little more or a little less. Mosif in chodesh echad, we add on a month. Va'osin ota shana shlosha asar chodesh, and that year then has 13 Jewish months. V'hi nikra hanikret, that is called shana me'uberet. That is what we call an impregnated year. Right, a year that has that extra ibur, that extra month. We can't have a Jewish year being 12 months and 11 days, or 12 days. Shenamar, because the verse says, L'chodshei hashana, the months of the year. Chadashim atamona l'shana, v'atamona yamim. We count months for the year, we don't count days for the year. Therefore, it works out that 7 out of every 19 years. So if you do 19 times 11, you have about 209, 210. And you add on 7 30-day months in those 19 years, you have again 210. And that's how we stay in sync. Years 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, and 19 are the years that we add on an extra month. That's how we stay in sync. Now it's interesting to note that the Muslims, they follow a lunar calendar, a lunar year. They don't have this correction mechanism that the Torah instructs us to have, by telling us that Pesach must be in the spring, and therefore their years run 11 days shorter every year. So imagine you have 2 people running a course. One of them, and they're running the same pace, but one of them has a course that's a shorter course. So in the same amount of time, the one on the shorter course is going to run more laps than the person who's on the longer course. That's why it comes out that, I wrote over here, Hijra is the beginning of the Muslim era, occurred in the year 621. That's when the Muslim era began. Subtract 621 from the current Christian year and compare the result 2017 minus 621. We've had 1,396 years since the start of the Muslim era. But the Muslims count their year, right? We count our year as 5778. They count their year as 1438. How do they get 1438 when we have only 1396? There are 42 more Muslim years than solar years. They have a shorter course. So over the course of these 1,396 years, they've done 42 more laps than we have. Another way of illustrating this is a Jewish person and a Muslim person have the same birthday. On the time that a Jew turns 33 years, the Muslim has already had 33 times 11, approximately another, 363, I think that comes out to. So he's basically had an additional lap. So when a person who's following a solar calendar or an adjusted lunar calendar has 33 years, a person following a lunar calendar has 34 years.
The verse says, keep the month of the spring, not the holiday of the spring.
Vasita Pesach l'Hashem Elokecha. Keep the month of spring and make Pesach, which means the month of Pesach has to be in the spring.
So the Rosh Chodesh Nisan.
Not Rosh Chodesh.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is it the holiday or is it the month that has to be in spring?
I'm not sure.
Because
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
there
sure.
is once in the 19 years where Passover falls on the 21st of March.
No. The earliest it ever comes out is the 26th of March. I went back 100 years.
March 21st, 2013.
No, I think it's incorrect. I think it's March 26th, 2013.
You might look at it.
Okay?
Okay. Well, but
I looked over 100 years. And the earliest, once I think it was March 26th, 27th a few times, 29th, 30th, 31st, and usually in April. Okay, so double check that. Okay, what does that now have to do with our asking for the rain? So when is it that we begin to ask for the rain? That depends if you are in Israel or outside of Israel. So the very bottom source now, the Mishnah in Tanit 1:3 says as follows, both in Hebrew and in English. Bishlosha b'mar Cheshvan. Sukkot is in the month of Tishrei. The month following that is Mar Cheshvan. On the third day of Mar Cheshvan, we start to ask in our prayers for the rain. V'tein ta'al u'martar livracha. Give us the dew and the rain as a blessing. Or Shimei Gamliel Omer, B'shiv'ah. Or Rabbi Gamliel Omer, Gamliel says, B'shiv'ah bo. On the seventh day we ask for the rain. Why? Chamisha asar yom achar chag. We want to wait 15 days after Sukkot, because Sukkot is one of the pilgrimage holidays. People travel to Yerushalayim. People now need to travel back. And in those days, the windshield wipers didn't work as effectively as they do on our cars. So the rain could cause some problems. I'm kidding. So we want the last traveler to reach the Euphrates, to reach Nahar Prat, and to be able to be safely out of the rain zone before we start asking for the rain. That's how it works for people in Israel. So in Israel, asking for the rain is based on the lunar calendar. It is 15 days after the end of Sukkot. So we give a good, nice, religious, Hamish, Jewish date of Zayin, the seventh day of the month of Cheshvan, and that's when we start asking for the rain. That's what we're comfortable with. But outside of Israel, December 4th, December 5th, where does that come from? The Gemara Tanit, on the second side of the sources, the Gemara Tanit says, Chananya says, Uba Gola, in exile outside of the land of Israel, where there is less of a pressing need for rain, at least in Bavel, in ancient Babylon, that was the case. Ad Shishim Ba'Tekufa. Oh, so we wait until the 60th day of the Tekufa. The Tekufa is the season. Seasons are solar. So I have here, this is from Dr. Moshe Sokolow. We have a chart over here. And look on the sheet we have 4 seasons correspond to the 4 quadrants of the ellipse. The path Earth takes in revolutions. Is there a next one over there? In revolutions, thank you, around the sun. And also one for Linda, if we could. And one for Michaela. And we're all set. And one for Eliezer. Good. Okay. So we're gonna focus on the northern hemisphere, what we are familiar with. March 22nd to June 21st is spring, when the day is longer than the night. June 22nd to September 22nd is summer. The day is longer than the night. 23rd of September to 22nd of December is fall. right? With the night longer than the day, and 23rd of December, 21st of March, winter, night longer than the day. So, 60th day of the season means the season begins on the 23rd of September. So we start to ask for the rain 60 days after that. The problem is, since the autumn Tishrei season begins in the northern hemisphere on the 23rd of September, then the 60th day later is November 21st. Why then do we not say Talu Matar until the 4th of December, which is 13 days later? That is the issue that we have. So fair enough. Thank you, Hanania. Hanania has told us that when it comes to asking for the rain outside of Israel, we don't follow the lunar months, we follow the seasons. And it makes sense to follow the seasons, because the seasons indicate when we'll expect the rain. The seasons are not going to be dependent on our having fallen behind 22 days by having 2 years of not an added month, and then jump again the next year we add a month. So instead of being behind 33, right, now we're behind 3, right, etc. We go 1 year, then add another year. That's how we jump around this, the Jewish months, the lunar months jump around the solar year. But the rains follow the seasons. So we understand we should ask for the rain outside of Israel where they need it right away, but they want to wait to give 15 days for the travelers to get back. Outside of Israel, it's based on the Tekufa. It's based on the seasons. Fair enough. And as Hanania says, 60 days into the Tekufa, that's when we start to do it. The problem is, 60 days after the start of the autumn Tishrei season, which begins on the 23rd of September, brings us to November 21. Yet, we have a 13-day break, and we don't start until the 4th of December. Why is that? So let's go a little bit further. The next source is the Gemara Irvine. The aim bein tekufa the tekufa el tishin ve'echad yom v'sheva sha'otu mechza. Each tekufa is 91 days, 7.5 hours. That works out. It's 91 days and 7.5 hours by 4. So 91 times 4 is 364. 7.5 by 4 is 30. That gives us another day, 365 and 6 hours. That gets us to 365.25. Bullseye? We thought it was, but it is not. The problem, however, is that a more exact astronomical calculation of the length of a year is not 365.25. It's not 365 days and 6 hours. It's 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. Which means that the actual year is running a shorter lap than we run by 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Okay? So what's 11 minutes and 14 seconds? Well, when you're waiting for mincha, right, it seems to take a long time. But they start to add up. Now, the Tekufa over 2,000 years moved at the rate of 1 day every 128 years. Okay? It's about 1 day every 128 years. Okay? Therefore, it comes out to about 8 days in 1,000 years, which means that we think we're this much into the year, actually we're further into the year than that. Because the year, remember the example I gave of someone's running the same speed, the same amount of time. They're running a shorter lap than someone who's running a longer lap. So they're going to have more laps within that same period of time. So the year actually has had more laps, or 8 days of a lap. They're already 8 days into the year. When we're saying, oh, Happy New Year, Happy Secular New Year, it's January 1st, in terms of the sun's, in terms of our rotation around the sun, we're actually 8 days already into that year. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Nicene?
Nicene.
Nicene, thank you. The Nicene Council in 325 had correctly fixed March 21st as the vernal equinox. Every 128 years, as we explained, March 21st moved forward relative to the sun by 1 full day. So what we were calling March 21st, relative to the sun, was really March 22nd. 128 years, we call March 21st, is really March 23rd. 120 years, we call March 21st, was really March 24th. Right? Because again, the actual rotation, the actual cycle is a shorter one by 11 minutes and 14 seconds than we were counting it.
But we adjust for that now. We have been adjusting.
1 second. This is before they adjusted.
Okay.
Pope Gregory, by 1582, 1,257 years later, the discrepancy had reached 10 days. Pope Gregory the 13th decided to correct it. And that's the Gregorian as opposed to the Julian calendar. So what did he do? He dropped 10 days from the calendar, making the day after Thursday, October 4th, 1582, suddenly Friday, the next day, was October 15th, 1582. 10 days were dropped from the calendar in a new calendar named the Gregorian calendar in his honor. So 1 second. So Shmuel, who said 60 days after the Tekufa, and the Gemara which said the Tekufa is going to be 91 days, 7.5 hours, giving us a 365 and a quarter, Shmuel did not adjust for the 11 minutes and 14-second discrepancy. So when we follow, when we start to ask for the rain, we are following, so to speak, the Julian, the original, the Shmuel calendar, not the Gregorian calendar. Oh, so 1 second. So now, right? So if we're not going, so November, 60 days, well, let's go further, to ensure that the problem remained corrected. Now, he corrected it once. He doesn't want to have to keep correcting. Well, he needs to have a mechanism to keep correcting it. So what did he do? We have a leap year every 4 years.
Adar Sheni.
No, that's the Jewish leap year. I'm talking about the solar leap year, being that it's 365 and a quarter. Every 4 years, those quarters adds up to a day. We add 1 day, February 29th. That's how we stay, in a broad manner, we stay in sync with our 365 days and 365 and a quarter years. So we have a leap year, there's a secular leap year every 4 years. So he said, every 400 years, eliminate 3 leap years. So, on the turn of the century year, which is not divisible by 4, so the year 1600 should have been a leap year, right? It was a leap year. We had February 29th. The year 1700 should have been a leap year. It's a fourth year. Should have had 29 days. He said no. All had 28. The year 1800 should have been a leap year. It wasn't. 28, not 29 days. The year 1900 should have been a leap year, and it wasn't. The year 2000 should have been a leap year, and it was. So 3 out of every 4 leap years, 3 leap years every 400 years, we drop those days. And that's how we make up for the 11 minutes and 14 seconds that were short every year that we calculate 365 and a quarter. So therefore, okay, again, to ensure the problem remained corrected, Gregory also eliminated 3 leap years every 400 years. Remember that the Tekufa moves forward 1 day every 128 years according to Shmuel. 3 times 128 is 384, namely in the century years not divisible by 400. Okay, so from the time they had that council in Nicene until, 2015, until today is 435 years. That's 3 more days. So we have added 13 days. Our calendar has added 13 days in order to, or we've skipped, I should say, 13 days in order to stay perfectly in sync with the sun. Shmuel doesn't make that adjustment. The result of these alterations is that in the 20th century, the day which would have been September 23rd, according to the Julian Shmuel's calendar, is October 7th. So what really we would call September 23rd, our calendar calls that October 7th. The 60th day, as the Gemara said, we start to ask on the 60th day of the Tekufa. The 60th day then is December 5th.
And the rabbis are not going to adjust this?
So we don't adjust it. That's correct. We don't make this Gregorian correction, adjustment. Yes, actually I have in my notes over here, I wrote for myself, right? Well, according to this, in the year 16,800, Mashiach will be here before then, but the year 16,800, we're going to start and stop on Pesach. Meaning, right, from December 5th to March 26th, which is the earliest day for Pesach, is 111 days. Divided by 3 is 37. So, 37, right, days, right? That's over 400 years, right? Right? So we have 37 units of 3. Every 400 years we have 3. We have a unit of 3. So it'll take us 14,800 years. We're now about 2,000. So around the year 16,800, right, we're going to have a serious problem. If Mashiach's not here by then, we'll have an even more serious problem. But what's interesting to note is that comes the year, I have to tell the office not to buy up too many Sidurim. Because comes the year 2100, they're going to have to reprint all of those Sidurim to read that on December 5th or 6th on the year before a leap year, that's when we'll start to say it. It will no longer be December 4 or 5. Comes the year 2100, it'll be the dates of December 5, 6. So why 4 and 5? If we've established...
Oh, 3/4 of the day.
I'm sorry? Good.
3/4 of the
So
day.
if we've established that the tekufa of a non-corrected, non-adjusted calendar, a non-Gregorian calendar, a Julian calendar, a Shmuel calendar, the 60th day after the tekufa is December 5th. Okay, so therefore, what do? So let's, right? So the result of these alterations is that in the 20th century, the day which would have been September 23rd, according to Julian Shmuel's calendar, is October 7th. And the 60th day following October 7th is December 5th. We begin Talamatar, the Mariv service of the night before, and therefore we begin on the night of December 4th. Now, what happens every 4 years? What happens on the year before the leap year? Every 4th year, however, in the Jewish year divisible by 4, Jewish year divisible by 4. Now we're 5778. Go back 2 years. 5776 was the year divisible by 4. Okay? That was the year 2015, which was the year which was before the leap year. Okay? So it's not linked to the leap year per se. It's linked to the Jewish year. The 4th, if every year is 365 and a quarter, so it comes out now that the first of those 4-year cycle, the Tekufa, is going to be the first 6 hours of the day. That's still December 4th. Okay? The second year will be the hours 6 to 12. That's now December 5th. That's all good. So we started December 4th.
We're talking Jewish hours?
We're talking, let's just go 6 hours. Play it simple.
Well, then we're talking 12 hours.
We're talking about 6 hours. Doesn't make a difference. Okay? So now, if the Tekufa, the unadjusted Tekufa, December 5th, now, but it's 6 hours in each time. The first year, right, it's going to be the first 6, it's going to be 6 hours. Next year it's going to be hours 6 to 12. Next year it's going to be hours 12 to 18. That all starts on December, that all falls on December 4th, and therefore we'll start the night, December 5th, we'll start at Marav the night before. By the 4th year, we're now at the last 6 hours. The last 6 hours is falling out on December 5th, right? It's starting now, right? It's already the very end of that day. It's already past the night of December 4th, which halachically it's already Mariv of December 5th. What I don't understand, Professor, maybe you could help me. He writes over here, note, while the Tekufa always falls on October 7th, each year it begins 6 hours later. It is still calculated according to Shmuel and Julian, who assumes an exact 364 and a quarter, 365 a year. So in 4-year cycle, the Tekufa begins sequentially 3 a.m., 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 p.m. I didn't understand. Does that make sense to you? Why the Tekufa is beginning on the 3 a.m., 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m.?
I lost you altogether on this.
I don't know about that. But the last one is later than Seit HaKochavim.
Look, if I may...
Please, Professor.
We've done more or less...
Yes.
I'm impressed with Maimonides because he's pretty clever, but the whole thing is based on the fact that we have to have the ordinary calendars because of the seasons. Now, in antiquity, we're talking now thousands of years ago, when people were farmers, you had to know the seasons precisely. You couldn't go by the lunar calendar. So the Arabs obviously weren't farmers, they were just nomads. If you're a farmer, you have to know exactly the seasons because that's when the rain comes at certain times. Now, the ancient holiday, and this affects our Jewish calendar as well, was the vernal equinox, which is always March 21st. That's when the sun crosses the equator. And that's the precise point that people in antiquity already had determined. It does it twice a year, the vernal equinox and the autumnal equinox. At that time, the day and night are exactly equal. 6 hours, I mean, you can, at night you can see the sun come down exactly in the west and comes up exactly in the east. So check it out. This happens right in the British already, the Stonehenge, they all knew about this. Now, the ancient calendar started on March 21st. That was the beginning of the year, which makes sense. That's why Passover really is really the beginning of the year in antiquity. This was all holidays started. That's when springtime came and so forth. And I know the Gemara about this as well because I studied the Gemara on times, and I know they had to make a decision about the Jewish New Year, and they didn't want to include it in March 21st. They thought, well, let's go for the autumnal equinox, September 21st. So that's why the Jewish beginning year is on the autumn. They didn't want to coincide it with that. Now, Julius Caesar was the one who screwed up the calendar. After Julius Caesar, he all of a sudden switched from March 21st to January 1st. That was a big switch. In fact, you can tell the switch because the days of the month is still called October, which is 10. December is the 10th. That was the 10th month. So January and February used to be the end of the year. Now he did two things that have nothing to do with Judaism. Number one, he was very vain. So he wanted to have a whole month named after him. It was July, Julius Caesar, July. So then he stole a day from January. It used to have 30 days. Then it became all of a sudden 29. Now the next...
From February.
February, sorry, thank you, February. Now the next Roman emperor was Augustus. He did the same thing. He stole another day, so February now ended up with 28. And both July and August have 31 days. So that takes care of some of the Goyish calendar, why it switched. Now, the Rabbi was completely correct about the, the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Now, the Pope Gregory did this in 1582, but not all countries accepted it. For instance, Russia and China, they didn't accept it until the 19th century. So their Christmas and their Easter is a different holidays than what the people have here.
And now they have accepted it?
Because
and now they have accepted
now
it?
Now they've accepted it.
So they must have had it, so they just took a big
they
jump?
They kept it still. You'll find their New Year's is different. And
their Christmas is different. It's on a different...
All right, now, there's one other consequence that Pope Gregory did. He took 10 days away from the calendar. Can you imagine people having 10 days less than a month? If you are a renter, all of a sudden you have a shoot. It was
during the school year, I'm sure the kids loved it.
It was a big riot when he did this. And
not to mention the teachers.
Accepted it right away, by the way. Not all countries. England didn't do it right away. There were lots of countries that held out. You know, Pope Gregory had a lot of sway, of course.
Nice.
Now, what I'm interested in is, of course, how, and this is what our Rabbi did his homework, how there's the Jewish interpretation of this. Jews were not necessarily astronomers, but they took over a lot of the stuff that was generally known. And I'm quite impressed with some of the things that they did, and particularly the Talmud has a lot of interesting things. And let me mention one other thing, and nothing to do with this calendar, but for instance, there was a very dramatic effect in the 11th century. A supernova occurred. It's called the Crab Nebula. It was so bright you could see it in daytime in the sky. There was not a single record, in European record, that recorded it. And what bothered me is Rashi was alive at the time. Rashi didn't mention this. This is never mentioned by Rashi. That was during his lifetime. He was about 15, I think, when it occurred. He should have seen this. I guess it was always in the books, you know, he wasn't paying attention.
He might have seen it. I don't know how he would have recorded necessarily, you know.
He would have had it somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rashi was writing his explanation on the Talmud, explanation on the Chumash. I don't know if he was, you know, writing down astronomical anomalies.
He was quite up on things.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if he would have recorded it, but okay.
What else can I add to this? I'll just give you one more astronomical bit of information that the Jewish calendar doesn't take care of. There's another effect. The Earth's axis makes an angle of 23.5 degrees with respect to the ecliptic. And the Earth's axis, you know, it's not the sun that moves, it's obviously the Earth is turning. But these two of them are equivalent. But the Earth's axis also revolves, just watch my hand, watch around like this. It takes 26,000 years for this to occur, 26,000 years to make one complete revolution. Now that changes also, that has an effect on the calendar. It's called the precession of the equinoxes. That's not mentioned. I guess they didn't know.
So in 26, yeah, I guess we weren't figuring 26,000 years. We're counting on Mashiach by the year 6,000. Okay, thank you, Professor. So that's what comes out, that this is following the seasons, as the Gemara says, and it's following Shmuel and Julian's unadjusted calendar, and therefore what we are calling September 23rd, actually in an unadjusted calendar, right, would actually what's actually September 23rd in an unadjusted calendar, we're calling that October 27th, and then right, and then all of our days that we need to add on bring us up to the point that we say.
I have a few things I want to ask a question. When you say Julian Shmuel, do you mean that Julian was in charge of the secular calendar and Shmuel took it to use
Correct. What I'm saying is that there's what's known as the Julian calendar,
yes,
which is the unadjusted calendar
right.
that Shmuel was following.
Oh, Shmuel was following. Okay.
Shmuel was following that calendar.
Okay, and then you mentioned January 1st. He established it in January 1st. The reason January 1st was chosen as New Year and beginning was
that was the professor.
Yes.
I heard that it was
JC's bris. His bris.
Okay.
Because 25 and 8. 25 and
Okay.
8 is the bris. And so that's what it's the beginning of when he comes into, I guess, man or whatever he comes into. And the other, I have two more things. It's not important, but I'll tell you. Every 19 years, your secular birthday and your Hebrew birthday come together. And this year, both of them come to be with me. So I think it's sort of a special year coming up. And the fourth thing I found the whole thing very confusing. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an astronomer. And I think Hashem, like he makes clocks. I was thinking of clocks, how perfect they are, and they're different gears. He could have made the heavens and the world to be smooth, but he wants us to depend on him. And so we have this, for me, I would never do this. I would never be an astronomer or never do this kind of thing. But when you think about a clock, how such precision in a clock works, especially the old ones, not the digital, the analog. Hashem could have made the world differently, but he didn't, because he wants us to depend on him.
Yeah. Well, there is incredible precision in the world.
Percentable.
Yeah.
Right. And he
Incredible
could.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So now we have to depend on him every day. You have to, the men particularly who do the Mincha Mariv and Shachrit and all that, or whoever does it, has to look at the calendar, have to check, is it 9:04, is it 9:05, where should we call it?
Sosman Kriyat Shema, Sosman Tfilah.
Right. So look at all the dependency that has been created.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's what I said.
Are we praying for rain here or in Israel?
Here.
So, in the southern hemisphere, do they have a different set of when they start this prayer?
I don't think they do.
Okay.
I think they also follow Beth, even though it's a bit strange for them. I believe that's the case. Yeah, we're looking at this slide. Yeah. Okay, Dov, thank you very much. Okay, I didn't eat, but those who did, we're going to have a communal benching.
Okay.